Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, we revisited the start of the game and discussed the unknown god, heavenly principles, and took a deep dive into some pretty crazy theories and lore. Despite the few true facts we have, the unknown god caused a lot of fierce discussion amongst us. This week, we're going to be talking about the one and only Adeptus that has the boots with the fur, Adeptus Yanfei. Additionally, I want to remind travelers to visit talesofteyvat.com to see visual representations of the lore mentioned during today's podcast. Your guides put them together for you to make things a little easier to understand. Lastly, before we hop into things, I also want to remind everyone to please feel free to give us any of your comments, questions, or thoughts on today's episode or any of our episodes by messaging us or following us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or on Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. We'd love to hear your feedback about everything that we've talked about so far this season, what you'd like to see from us, or what you wouldn't like to see from us. But be kind. I can't afford therapy weekly anymore. With that being said, we're gonna jump right into it. Yanfei, cute. I love Yanfei. She's adorable. I think Tiff is a Yanfei main, though.
Mm-hmm.
She has been for a bit, and I was excited to kind of delve a little bit deeper into her because she's got some weird little things kind of going on with her. I mean, outside of the fact that she's like a child and an attorney.
I mean, she's not a child. She's centuries old, but the fact that she is an expert in almost every single type of law, as someone who works at a law firm, hi, I'm adding myself, I work at a law firm. You normally don't see that because no one wants to die that bad. Especially family law. No,
which Yanfei specifically doesn't like family law, right?
Right.
Yeah, she thinks that she doesn't want people to get divorced. She kind of feels like you should only marry somebody you really love and that's it. And it's like, that's nice to put it as simple as that, but
that ain't how it works.
It's not real world. But
I thought that was really interesting. She's very sensitive, more so than you would think.
Yeah. The fact that she wants there to be no need for her. She wants peace and nobody to sue each other. And kind of knowing that that's going to take her out of business, she's fine with that because she's just like, that means that everybody is getting along. And she does have a backup plan, which I think is fantastic. Everybody should have a backup plan. So Yanfei is going to be a rapper.
What?
That is literally her backup plan.
Shut up. No.
Yes.
Yanfei?
Marshall Mathers.
She got to see Xinyan perform. She was enamored with her, and I think she may have tried to play an instrument and failed at it, but realized she could read very quickly and she could speak very quickly. So rapping would be perfect for her. And I was like, oh, okay, Yanfei.
I want her and Ito to start a rap, be like a rap duo together.
We would have to listen to Yanfei throwing some bars before we...
Yeah, but I do want to take a step back just to who Yanfei is a little bit too. For our travelers who maybe haven't gotten to Leeway or were very quickly going through Leeway because they wanted to get to the big battle at the end, Yanfei is half Adepti, half human. And I think it took me a year to figure out that she was an Adepti. Her horns, which kind of look like little deer horns almost.
Little antlers.
Yeah, her antlers. They're very well hidden in her hair and with her hat. So it took me a very long time to put two and two together. But Yanfei is a lawyer located in Leeway who is half Adeptus, half human. And an Adepti is what exactly again?
Kind of like a demigod, but also not. It's not really explained as well as it could be. Because there's Adepti, and then there's the illuminated beasts.
Yeah, what is the difference?
Which I think we went through when we were talking about the Yakshas, because Yakshas are also a type of illuminated beast. And Adeptus is a type of illuminated beast. But the Adeptus, opposed to the Yakshas that kind of take human form, the Adeptus take the form of animals.
Okay.
Right.
So that would mean that Yanfei is an illuminated beast and an Adeptus, right?
Sort of like an animal god.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a classification of an Adeptus is a type of illuminated beast.
I'm trying to think of several different gods in mythology that are the forms of animals, and all I can think of is not Tenochtitlan, but that's a city, not a god.
Oh, the crocodile one from Egyptian mythology.
Oh, yeah. Very, very similar. We've got Set, and we have Ankh, and animals or gods in multiple different religious mythologies take animalistic Celtic forms because that's what people see. That's what people are looking at and representing their lives at the time. Crocodiles were insane if you on the Nile River, because Nile crocodiles are one of the most aggressive crocodilians.
Is that kind of like Anubis being a jackal?
Yeah, exactly.
I like that one because, Sino's a little jackal friend.
Her father is most likely a Jietchi, which is a Chinese mythology, is a creature, which I think if you saw it, we can include an image on our website. It looks like an ox or a goat.
Interesting.
And that's kind of where her ears, I guess, come from. But also in Chinese mythology, the Jietchi stand for justice. And a nice little tidbit to that of how they keep kind of referencing back to it, because we don't really know who her dad is. In her character demo, they actually play the song that is labeled Marching of Jietchi.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
They're like, hey, law.
Like justice.
In case you don't know, this chick's about law.
Not only that, it's going further into the Jiashi, or it's spelled Xeizhi. We're obviously not native Mandarin or Cantonese speakers, so we don't really know how to pronounce it.
We can
only try our best.
English.
Same. In the mythology, it's noted that one, they have either the body of a goat or an ox and one horn, kind of like a unicorn in some cases. And the way they use law is that they can discern the guilty from the innocent. So in reality, in actual history, Emperor Shun's ministers of justice would use a male ram, male goats, a ram, and would put the ram in front of the suspected guilty person and be like, okay, ram him if he's fucking guilty. And if they headbutted the person, they were guilty.
Everyone was guilty.
If they were spared,
Wow.
they were innocent. This is, take it with a grain of salt, because it is in the book of Lung Wen, written by a philosopher and astronomer named Wang Xiong. And this was about mid-2000s BCE when this was taking place in ancient China.
Like the funeral parlor?
No. Wang Xiong.
Okay. I just wanted to double check.
So Wong Xiong Chung.
Very different. Got it.
That's such a cool story, though, Al. I love that.
I love history. I love crazy shit, man. Also, that makes sense because if Yanfei has goat motifs, it makes sense. Like Tiff was saying, it is represented as a goat or an ox.
But isn't she more deer-like? Isn't her constellation like a fawn?
I think that might be because there's reference that she knew Skydancer, who was the deer-like illuminated beast, or maybe not. I'm not exactly sure.
I was going to say it's interesting because Ganyu is often talked about as being like a goat Adepti. And also Ganyu, her storyline is called something, and it goes back to the idea of like a unicorn. I think like it's a different phrasing for unicorn. I could be wrong. So I think it's interesting that both of that comes up with Yanfei, because Yanfei is the youngest of the Adepti we have met. The other Adepti that we've met in the game being Ganyu, Zhao, I should say the human-looking Adepti, right? But Ganyu and Zhao both have contracts with Zhongli, but Yanfei was born during a peaceful time, so she doesn't have a relation like that with him. And also, she seems to have a different relationship even with like Zhao and Ganyu than they even have with each other. It's like she's the baby of the family, but she's also like the divorcee of the family. Like, I mean, I find it funny that her parents are never really seen in the game. She mostly talks about her father, and then she doesn't like family law. I would assume that her family is broken apart.
They actually are out on an adventure.
Her parents?
Together. Yeah, her parents left her with Madame Ping to go on an adventure.
What?
Obviously, when she was old enough to, she was old enough to remember them and know what was going on. It's not like she was like abandoned as a baby or anything like that. But it was kind of like, hey, you got your life going on. We're going to go have ours.
But isn't her mom, the mother's human, right?
Mm-hmm. Which makes it seem like Yanfei is not very old at all, which could lead to why she was born during the time of peace and didn't have to do that contract, like he said.
So this is going to be, I know we talk about a lot of weird aging things on here. But how the hell is she aging? Like, do you think she's aging more like a human then? Because to me, Yanfei, Ganyu, and Zhao all look the same age. We know that Ganyu and Zhao are both hundreds, if not thousands of years old. And Yanfei looks probably like, 15, 16, but is a lawyer, which I guess doesn't say much because Kuki also went through the law school training, right? And Kuki also looks the same age as her. Kuki, for those of you who haven't gotten that far, is from Inazuma. And Yanfei also has to have a mother who's young enough to be traveling and adventuring.
I mean, she could have gotten blessed with like some form of life elongation. I mean, that's always possible. This is Genshin.
Like, is she maybe like 30?
No.
Yeah, I mean, to be a lawyer, I mean, you have to look at like, even some of the kids. I mean, we have a plethora of orphans running around Teyvat, but
and dead children.
There's a lot of children like in Mondstadt and stuff like that they're kids and they're not that much. We're saying they're not actually that much younger than like Yanfei. It seems a little suspect because they're like, yeah.
But they make it a point to explain that Yanfei actually had a really good, happy childhood. She's like one of the few characters that doesn't have a tragic past.
It's why she doesn't want anyone to divorce.
Yeah, she's like, everyone should have a nice life like I had.
So that's why I always kind of like age her around like 20.
Yeah, or even older, because like you never know. The Illuminated Beast, like half of her could basically, she ages until she just stops.
Yeah,
because I mean that we have no
like
idea.
The
oh yeah, oh fuck,
not Renesmee.
Oh god,
I feel ridiculous. I'm making a Twilight connection here, but that's exactly what happens to Renesmee. Is she ages until she stops.
Let's just call her Nessie, like the monster she is.
Oh my god.
She fucking is.
I've never read it and I've never seen it.
We're making you watch it. We're making you watch it.
Yo, I made t-shirts and went to like the midnight showings. Like,
oh God, of course you did.
I was like the first of my friends to read the book too. So like I got all of them to start reading it.
I just love anything that has to do with a vampire. Like I'm gonna watch it. Doesn't matter.
Look, it's kinky.
It's got great soundtracks.
I will say, it's really unclear how old Yanfei is. And just because Yanfei's mother is human, I would not put it past Mihoyo of like, give her some sort of longevity of something. Because if this like, illuminated beasts are immortal or supposedly immortal until they get killed. Sky Dancer. And what's to say that there isn't something that has given her a bit of that immortality, even though she is human? Because Madame Ping also seems incredibly older than just maybe 80. There's a possibility that she's even older than that, which maybe that's something. That's why aging in this game is so fucking difficult.
Do we know who Madame Ping really even is? Outside of like a lady who gives us a teapot?
Yeah, for travelers who might not know, Madame Ping is like the very older woman that you talk to who eventually ends up giving you your Saren teapot. She could be located like in Leeway if you like come out from the pharmacy. If you come out of Boo Boo Pharmacy and you go straight ahead, there's another staircase. You go all the way up those stairs. Eventually, you'll find a table on the left that usually has some like teapots and stuff on it. Madame Ping can usually be found there. And Madame Ping is actually an Adepti. We don't know what type of Adepti. We have been told, though, that she's been around for quite some time. She actually is the first one who shows us the teapot, and the teapot is like her Adepti home, and she uses like her Adeptal powers to create the teapot that we then can eventually move into ourselves, and some of us decorate it, some of us don't.
It's bigger on the inside.
It's much bigger on the inside.
Some of us put some animals in our teapot.
Oh my god, Tiff has like 9,000 animals in her teapot. Like,
I added a fish too.
Everyone, please report her to the ASPCA immediately. Like every time she like
Timothy
shows
Chalamet,
me
the squirrel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has a squirrel named Timothy Chalamet that's a killer. A true demon.
He only hates you because you tried to kill him yourself.
I only tried to kill him once after he brutally attacked me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Squirrels Come on.
Anyway, so Madame Ping is a human adepti. We don't really know much about her. I know we say that there's no leaks in here, but this is like a leak that's been debunked, I believe. So I'm going to say it. There was a leak that there was like a younger version of her that was going to be coming out, and it totally got like kapooied. It never came out. It was like from a year ago. If I can find it, I'll try to put it on the website too. But there is rumor that she used to be like a young Ganyu-esque adepti, and it's very possible that she could be even masking her appearance to look 100% human.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Madame Ping is cool.
Because that kind of fits she's different than the rest of all the other Adeptus outside of the half ones who have some animal characteristics. She's the only one who's actually in human form. You know, I mean, we even find out later on that Tubby, our little teapot friend, is even an Adeptus.
Yes, and we also find out that Madame Ping is old friends with Zhongli. When we are looking for, I believe, the items we need for the funeral of Rex Lapis, I believe Madame Ping is one of the people we go to, and that's when she's like, oh yes, my old friend, or something like that. I could have the situation wrong slightly, but she does mention like being old friends with the gods. And I believe she's there at the big battle of Leeway. Like, is she not one of the people like there?
Is she the unknown god?
Oh no.
Oh my god, the twist.
She would not have given us a beautiful teapot if she was the unknown god. Let's be clear about that. There is a couple of lines that allude to a certain type of relationship Madame Ping has with Zhongli, which, you know, getting busy and shit. I don't know.
Oh, you think there was like a romance between Zhongli and Madame Ping?
Yeah, when she was younger, because there's
Ooh.
a lot of the way Madame Ping talks about
Wait,
Zhongli
what?
and how Zhongli will reference her. There's like obviously an undertone of like something happened between these two.
Wait, what?
Do you not remember that?
No, but I am so intrigued right now. What if she's Guisong?
No, but Guisong died.
But what if she didn't? And she's Madame Ping.
I would like that.
Ooh.
I would like that. Granny can
But
get
what
it.
if
I don't
Zhongli
care.
doesn't know?
Oh my god, Zhongli doesn't know. That would be so sad.
Maybe that's why he wanted to be human. Maybe that's why he gave up his gnosis and gave up being a god. He wanted to age and die with Madame Ping. I don't know.
Oh,
This is a whole theory.
oh my god.
Oh my god. That Zhongli's like, I don't care about my contracts anymore. I just want to be with the love of my life, Madame Ping, and our teapot together.
Oh my god.
Anyway, backtracking back to Yanfei. So we're going to say that Yanfei's age is unknown, but we can all agree that she kind of looks 15, 16, but we're assuming she's got some magical abilities and she may be more like 20, 25.
If she's practicing law, she's at least 21.
All right.
In my mind, this is also leeway where like little kids have like big business. So
Yeah.
That's like the whole freaking game though, isn't it? And, you know, it's funny because there is a restaurant by me that I get takeout from. And, like, I feel like I've watched the kid who works there grow because he was, like, totally 12 when I first started going to this restaurant. And now he's, like, 16 answering the phones. And I will say it makes me think of Genshin. I'm like, oh, this could happen in Mondstadt. Like, this is normal.
oh my god, that reminds me. There's a place called Hibachi Express, and me and Drew, my boyfriend, would go to Hibachi Express like every like other Friday. And their son would be sitting, like, he was obviously 7, but he and his dad would be sitting at one of like the tables in the back doing homework, and it was so cute. And then he kept bringing out our food to us, and I'm like, go do your homework, buddy. You're very tiny. Homework first, then job.
So we've talked a little bit now about Zhongli in relation to Yanfei. And I know I brought it up earlier that Yanfei doesn't have a contract with Zhongli, but they seem to have like somewhat of like a relationship. I guess like you have no choice as an Adepti. Like, does she know that Zhongli's like the god?
Oh, that's a good question. I wonder, I don't know the answer to that one, but that would be like, you would kind of almost assume other people have to know, and she would make sense to know.
She knows Rex Lapis. Whether she knows Zhongli is Rex Lapis, that's to be determined. It's stated in some of her voice lines when you ascend and unlock her little snippets in her profile that she says she didn't have a contract with Rex Lapis because she was born during a peacetime, but she does have a contract with her parents. And that is basically, she says the terms of said contract is for her to live happily so that she has freedom. And the reason she's a lawyer is so that she's not bound by the rules. And like, there's a line she says where it's, if you don't want to be bound by the rules, you first have to understand them all, which is very interesting as why she's fucking Pyro and not Animo, being that she wants so much freedom.
She doesn't have a dead friend, so.
You know, that's fucking true. Damn.
Venti couldn't scoop that one up. Venti's like, you can't relate to me. So next. I'll go to Zhao instead. That'll be my Adeptus.
Well, she's very passionate about law, so that makes sense.
I was trying to think too, like, you know, if she needed to make that contract again, I guess it's not like she went and said, haha, I don't have to make this contract with you. But she would have met Rex Lapis as a dragon, though, right? Like, not as Zhongli. So it could be very plausible that she knows Rex Lapis as the dragon. Like, she's talked to him that way.
So then she might think that he's dead. That's also another thought that kind of went into my mind this week when we were like prepping, is that like Zhao and Ganyu both know, and Madame Ping. That's another thing though. Madame Ping knows who Zhongli is. Ganyu and Zhao also know that Zhongli is Zhongli, right? So they had to like pretend and be like, oh no, he's dead. Oh no. But like if Madame Ping knows, there's a good chance that she might have told Yanfei, especially if Yanfei's father is also an Adepti.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for all we know, Zhongli could have a contract with her father.
I would assume that he would, because if he had, it seems like outside of when you're born during a time of peace, you had this contract, like Ganyu and Zhao. So knowing that he's an Adeptus, and we know that they knew each other, because even the balance thing that Yanfei has, that steel balance thing,
mm-hmm.
that she takes out during her little moments when she's not moving around.
Oh, like her stick thing?
Her scale.
That came to her from her father, and it was Rex Lapis originally. Like, he gave it to, like, it got passed down that way. So they were kind of not just knew each other, but like were buddies too.
I feel like she has to know then.
Yeah.
Right? Does Zhongli like talk at all about her, for those of you who are Zhongli havers, unlike me?
I've not gotten Zhongli up enough to know. I need to grind a lot of Gemmel.
He does have a voice line about her.
Ooh, what is it? Is it good, bad?
He says, despite never having signed a contract with me, she upholds order within many strata of Liyue society in her own way, dispelling misconceptions and correcting biases. Should her father one day return from his travels, I imagine that he would be even more delighted.
Why is it should her father return? Why is that like oh no, he may not come back?
I mean, they love to send people on journeys that leave the children behind in this game.
I know, just like how Varka left Kaya behind.
Uh-huh.
So Yanfei does have a voice line about Zhongli. She calls him Mr. Zhongli, which is a little skeptical. Mr. Zhongli has so much in-depth knowledge on so many topics. He's like a walking library. You know what I mean? He's a total servant, though. He never flaunts it. I could tell just by looking at him. People like him rarely shy away from taking on complex problems alone. So in my estimation, he's certainly not a potential client. And yet somehow I can't help but think I know him from somewhere. It's hard to describe the feeling. I asked my father about it, and he just said something to the effect of he didn't know either, though he seemed a little evasive. It was so strange. Anyway, makes me wonder if my father is hiding something from me. All right then. If he won't tell me what's going on, I'll just have to find out for myself. So I guess she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and she thinks that her dad is fucking Zhongli for sure.
Oh yeah, she's like, my dad's having an affair.
Let's also acknowledge, because her father is an illuminated beast who is either a goat or ox looking horned creature, her mother is a furry. Confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
So we got like this Zhongli stuff out of the way. I think that's really interesting though. And I wonder how that affects her relationships with Zhao and Ganyu.
Yeah, especially Ganyu, since Ganyu's a half Adeptus as well, right? I didn't make that up, right?
Well, Ganyu
Correct.
is more so, is she a physical half Adepti or is she more like emotionally a half Adepti?
She could have been granted her half adeptiness.
I'm pretty sure it's physical.
Because I know she like chose to live in the human world, but I wasn't sure if like
Maybe if you're half Adepti and half human, you get that choice if your parents don't make it for you.
It's the best of both worlds. Sorry.
Also, I think it's interesting just to go back to Ganyu and Zhao. She doesn't have a voice line about Zhao. She does say that, you know, Ganyu's just really busy. That her job seems a lot less taxing than Ganyu's job. So it almost seems like she's not close to Zhao or Ganyu at all. Like she only knows Ganyu really because of her role.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of strange. Like, you would think she would have a better relationship with her fellow Adepti. Unless, you know, living with Madame Ping, she's kind of been exiled from that.
Well, she grew up happy. So she was fine. She didn't have to like seek out other people.
True. She had a regular childhood.
So also, though, I think we can learn about a lot about Yanfei through other people. And it seems like as a lawyer, Yanfei has made a lot of enemies and a lot of friends. When we do the storyline, I don't know if it's her hangout or a storyline with her, but we do go around and help her try to debunk some things going on. Or is that with Ganyu? Am I thinking Ganyu?
Yanfei is taking us in her character quest basically to, there's a guy who sold this very expensive, quote unquote expensive pin. Spoilers! Also spoilers! Sorry! It's basically this nice hairpin made out of very rare material. However, Yanfei is the person that was given it on loan, lost it, and would have to pay like a shit ton of money as, you know, as per the contract. However, it was Yanfei was like, this don't smell right. This song smells off. And basically it was us collecting affidavits, which is basically just signed statements to prove that, in fact, he lied about the material he used and was basically just trying to get money.
It was a scam.
It was a scam! He was a fraud!
So sad. Why are people like that?
They want money, yo.
So we find out through that, though, that Yanfei could have a lot of enemies because she's literally going around telling people that they're scam artists and then proving it. And Ningguang also seems to have like a love-hate relationship with her.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, with Ningguang, she might have to go above the law to get certain things done, while Yanfei, in everything she says, it is to the code in many of the senses. Anytime she talks, the way her vernacular goes, it's very reminiscent of how you would talk in a subpoena. Like, I certify that da-da-da-da.
Yeah, she definitely runs like, I mean, she's a lawyer. Like she's 100% like in her profession all the time. But one of the things that she actually does is looks for loopholes in the law. So this way she can exploit them for her clients. And it annoys Ningguang because then Ningguang has to change the laws to be Yanfei proof almost. Like she kind of is like a little thorn in her side. But I think at the same time, Ningguang uses Yanfei's knowledge to kind of help her out when she needs it too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ningguang calls her a rival. She has a voice line about Yanfei, and she calls her a dear rival.
A deer as in like her constellation?
No, DEAR, a dear rival. And she says that, you know, were she not so deft at explaining the meanders of the law and providing her clients with all sorts of cunning suggestions, it would take her many more months to identify existing loopholes in the illegal codices and tighten them one by one. So she's definitely like taking as much as she's, you know, hitting a wall with Yanfei.
And is there anyone else like in Leeway that has like a relationship with her that seems very significant besides Madame Ping?
I mean, she really likes Ganyu. She states in like her little voice line about Ganyu that she does not envy Ganyu's job, but she's very sad that Ganyu's job basically takes up all her time. And for me, I'm just like, does she have a little crush? Why does she want Ganyu's time? It's like, because she wants to date Ganyu. This is just my head. In my head, it's like them being cutesy wootsy. Basically, I mean, other than Madame Ping, Ganyu, and Ningguang, like that's really all Leeway.
I think she has a crush on Eula.
That, you know, I could definitely see it. I would think it's a bit more of admiration. To clarify, to bring us back to the Lawrence clan episode, Eula trained in Liyue and saved Yanfei at one point.
How did Eula save Yanfei?
So it was an Abyss Order thing where Yanfei was a consultant for a merchant vessel, and she discovered something in the cargo, and she started to investigate it.
Oh, yes.
Which the Abyss Order was like, oh, hell no. And then Eula actually, arrived in the nick of time to save her. Eula says, we've kept in touch ever since. I like how smart she is. She knows the rules, but she also knows how to be flexible and act according to the situation. A few of the knights would do well to take a leaf out of her book. Also, with her smarts, maybe she could help me track someone down that I've been looking for. She does owe me a favor from last time after all.
Hold up, that line. Who the fuck is she looking for?
I know, right?
Her dad. Or probably her parents.
She really just wants her to find out if her dad is cheating with Zhongli.
Amber's grandpa, maybe?
Maybe.
There's so many orphans.
So many orphans!
I will say, though, Yanfei puts a lot of emphasis on how much information she can get about the Knights of Favonius legislation from Eula, which I'm like, maybe she just wants her for the info because she wants to know everything about law, but she only is an expert in Liyue law.
I just think Amber needs to look out and keep an eye on her woman.
Amber has to watch out not only for Yanfei now, but for Kale. And I'm like, look, here's the thing. They have a connection. Eula was trained by Amber's grandfather. I swear to God, they're gonna get married.
Maybe. I don't know. Sounds like there's some, things happening here.
I reject this. I reject it. In fact, objection. Your Honor, I would like to propose to the court that this case be dismissed.
Nope. Denied.
I mean, Eula definitely has a type, and it's cute, small pyro girls.
Not wrong.
Oh my God, that's so freaking funny. So Eula, cute little story, possible ship here. But back to Liyue, I do think that there is a relationship between Yelan and Yanfei as well. And if I'm remembering correctly, when Yanfei's Chasm storyline first came out, people were really shipping her and Yelan.
I could see that. I could also see that. But Yelan is such a bad bitch. I feel like she could get down with everybody. She's just the top between the sandwich that is Ningguang and Beidou.
Wow.
Look, I just want my hot, strong women to also be on or on top of hot, strong women.
Yolani Pastrami.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You would think, though, that Yelan and Yanfei would be very much acquainted, being the sides of, criminal law and I guess criminal justice, even more specifically. Yelan's always looking for them to, she's finding them, and then Yanfei's prosecuting them. That just sounds like a really badass Law and Order season. Law and Order Teyvat.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yelan has a voice line about Yanfei, and she says that I like Yanfei a lot, and I'm not talking about our friendship.
She does not say that, does she?
Yes, she does.
Oh my God.
I guess she means professionally, but
As a high-profile legal consultant, important intel in Liyue Harbor is constantly flowing in her direction. Whenever I help her out, I always get some invaluable leads in return. I gotta say, though, sometimes I think she respects me a little too much.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Why is Yanfei stalking Yelan?
I think we all know why.
She wants to get in those armpits. I'm sorry, she needs to know the code of that armpit.
He wants that coat.
It's all the boots with the fur.
Oh my God.
Honestly, yeah.
No, She just needs the apple bottom jeans.
I felt like even during the Chasm storyline, there was a lot going on between them. And I guess right now would be a good time to also talk a little bit about like the Chasm storyline that she was in. Because for me, it was very unexpected. I did not expect to see Yanfei in the Chasm with our new character Yelan at the time, with Ito and Kuki, and then Zhao, which definitely didn't help me try to ship them at all. Still don't ship Yanfei and Zhao after that. Although Yanfei was very like empathetic and endearing towards Zhao, but like what happens in the Chasm?
Stays in the chasm? Oh.
Well,
I was waiting for it.
Gotta keep warm somehow in that dank, dark cave.
Yanfei ends up in the chasm because she finds a will in an old book, which is just funny. She's just doing some light reading, finds a will, and she's like, oh, let me fulfill this will. Yeah. The writer of the will wished to find the compass. And then like they allude to the fact that they gave it to somebody who was very ambitious. And it kind of follows the story with that, not to get into the nitty-gritty details of that side of some of those pieces, but it makes sense. And so she kind of ends up down there kind of looking for this compass while Yelan's looking for it because like somebody in her family made it, which is a nice little connection between them two, I guess.
and this is the fantastic compass, right? Which is like this big artifact that they think is buried in the chasm, and we know nothing about the compass going into it besides that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Opposed to the semi-mediocre compass, this is the fantastic compass. I think it was in our previous story when we were talking about Zhao, we got into some of the details with the fantastic compass and how that kind of worked with kind of getting stuck down there. And
It was created by an Adeptus and passed down to Boyang, who is Yelan's ancestor.
Which I guess really doesn't have much to do with Yanfei, but Yanfei is basically looking for this fantastic compass. And that's really how we start this whole event in the chasm. We happen to be down there. We run into Yanfei. While we don't learn a lot about Yanfei as a character, and by character, I mean we don't learn a lot about her storyline while we're in the chasm, I really do feel like we find out a lot about her as a person or an Adepti. I don't know. Like her
personality. Yeah.
Yeah, and really did make me like Yanfei a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, because her story quest was so dry.
Yes, I felt like she was just a lawyer.
Yeah.
No offense to the lawyers of the world, but there was nothing else. Like normally, a lawyer, like I got lawyers in my family. They have very big personalities outside of like the job.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't feeling that from Yanfei. So it was very exciting to be like, oh, she is more than just like her law degree.
That's actually something very unique about her as a lawyer is that she doesn't have a giant ego.
Yeah, that's true too.
Which is counterintuitive when you think of a lawyer.
She's very humble.
She hopes for a world where she's not even needed in it.
Right.
So she's different of a lawyer.
Right. And what lawyer's going to say that?
Well, how much you paying?
Just to go back to Yanfei's age just for a moment too, with the fantastic compass, Yanfei does actually try to activate the device because she's an Adeptus and she's half Adeptus and a human. She should be able to use this device, but she's not strong enough. That kind of is mainly because she's just too young, not necessarily that she's just too weak.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of adds to showing that she's younger than Zhao by quite a bit.
Okay. And, since you brought up the relationship with Zhao, I'm not going to give too many spoilers away for the storyline, but basically we wander in and find a injured Zhao during the storyline, and Yanfei is very concerned about him. And I don't know if that's like a weird, adeptal camaraderie, if that's like a respect thing because Zhao is very well respected in Liyue, or if that's just like her empathetic self coming out because she did seem really worried about like Ito even when he gets hurt. But it was very nice to see. I liked the relationship between Yanfei and Zhao that came
She's
out
like
of
one
that.
of the only like well-adjusted characters in the game.
Is that what growing up happy's like?
Yeah, I guess. None of us know.
None of us know. I was gonna say though that my skepticism was like, are they gonna sue? Is that what she's worried about? Of suing? for accidental injury in the chasm. Are they gonna sue the fucking Leeway whatever council or like mining company? The things you think about when you work in law.
Suing the Qixing. I love it. I love, like, what if she went to court like suing Ningguang and the Qixing?
Oh my god.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Yanfei wasn't supposed to be down there and knew that.
None of them were supposed to be down there.
Yeah.
Therefore, they're all breaking the law.
If anything, Ningguang can sue everyone else.
Yeah, she's got the money for that lawyer. Those lawyers.
We were like the only ones allowed to be down there. Like we had permission to be down there for some reason.
Everybody else just like gate crashed.
While we're on the topic of the chasm storyline, again, not really giving away the storyline, just talking about some of the things that came out of it. We also meet Kuki in this storyline. And for those of you who don't know, Kuki is a member of the Arataki Ito gang. She is kind of like the person that keeps them all together. And the Arataki Ito gang is Ito's gang in Inazuma. Ito is the Oni that we meet in Inazuma, voiced by Max Middleman. So Kuki, we learn, is someone in Ito's gang that is very well trusted, very like a found family thing. Kuki and Ito seem to look at each other as siblings or cousins, even like close cousins. And we find out that Kuki and Yanfei actually know each other, which is the first time, not the first time, but it's one of the very few times we've seen someone from Inazuma know anyone outside of Inazuma.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we find out that Kuki actually studied law with Yanfei and hadn't come back yet to get her law degree. And that's why she was there, to like pick up her diploma.
Yeah, which is so crazy too. Like, just, I mean, I guess the only time anybody left Inazuma before it was open, because you know it's totally locked down for so long. The only thing you could do, I guess, was school. Maybe that was the one exception that you can get for like a visa.
Yes, and she does say that's like the one reason she was able to leave. But she also makes it seem like maybe she left Inazuma and did her studies like prior to like the shutdown, because I think we've talked about it before. It seems like the
that's right.
shutdown may have happened more recently. But also Kuki also looks like 16, so I don't know.
Time is just a construct.
They seem to have like a very well respect for each other as well. They don't seem to be competitive or anything.
It definitely seems like Kuki is like admires the shit out of Yanfei, because Yanfei is an expert not only in criminal law, not only in family law, not only in commercial law, but in like basically every subcategory, which is again unheard of in the world of law. You're usually specialized in like commercial law, defense, all that shit. Kuki is probably like specifically trying to learn how to help her gang.
Right.
And even find better ways to like represent them at a certain point. Because if they ever go to trial, someone needs a trial lawyer to learn every single law. And she quotes it from memory.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Her memory and her speed in reading, but not only all the types of law, but all over the place. She doesn't just practice law in Leeway. She's the lead lawyer in Leeway. Like she's the, the creme de la creme, but she's practice law in every other nation. And she actually has a line about that she just doesn't really like doing it in Fontaine because their law is the most difficult, but she's been there. She's done it.
It makes sense that Fontaine has the most complex and stupid-esque law system because it's based on the French law system. So
it is interesting though to know that like Yanfei has practiced everywhere, because for me one of my favorite things is finding out that characters do have relations with other characters in other nations.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we first found out about the Eula relation with Yanfei, I was like, oh, what? That's so cool. Like, and I shouldn't be that excited about it, but I am. And so it does, everything happening right now in like Sumeru, I'm curious if she's going to be involved in anything over there. No spoilers, but I bet there's going to be a need for some lawyers over there. Also, just in general with like life in the academia, I could imagine lawyers are something you need quite often, even before the Archon story quest. So You know, it'd be really interesting to see if she knows anyone out there, if she has any connections in Sumeru. And I'm sure as we get closer and closer to the release of Fontaine, which I believe Fontaine's the next nation, it would be really interesting to see if anything with Yanfei does come out. I would love to see Yanfei reappear as a big plot point for Fontaine.
I would be hard pressed if they would leave her out.
I think like with the internation relationships, it makes the world seem a little bit smaller too, and it kind of like these big important characters, like they're not like just little small people that we're running into. Like, I mean, she's the top lawyer. It would make sense that somebody would know her, and I think that that's a really nice way to kind of pull that story together.
Absolutely. And I think you make a good point too, Tiff. Like sometimes when I've seen some characters that are playable, I feel like why is this a playable character? I don't understand. And then usually it's once you unlock the character and start reading their voice lines and their storyline, you're like, oh, this makes more sense. This person could be bigger than we know. Like I used to think that of like Sayu, no offense, I know Brandon loves Sayu, but for a while I was like, why is Sayu a playable character? And then I did her hangout and I started reading up on her and I was like, oh, she has relations to the Kamisato clan, she's this, she's that. Then she had a pretty big part in some of the Inazuman storylines and I was like, oh.
She's also my daughter.
I know,
so
I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I know.
She's the cutest little ninja you'll ever meet.
If y'all haven't played her little hangout, there's a picture that is the cutest picture ever.
Asleep.
I cried.
Yeah.
That one. Oh my, I cried. It was so fucking cute.
But, you know, we're talking about possibly seeing Yanfei in the future. And, you know, based on the fact that she's a playable character and a vision holder, you would think we'd have to see her. What else would you guys hope to see out of Yanfei as we continue on with the game?
I want her to sue the Saritsa.
On behalf of all of Teyvat?
Yeah, well, on behalf of Mondstadt, at least.
On behalf of Child.
Well, he could be a star witness.
Also, quick question. I don't have Yanfei leveled up enough to know this, but how did she get her vision? Does anyone know?
It doesn't actually clarify it.
Oh, I hate when they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's this whole thing where Yanfei is like, well, people who have strong desire get a vision. So of course I got one.
Wow.
Why, Yanfei? Don't be that conceited.
That's Yanfei's cocky moment. That was her big ego lawyer moment right there.
With her vision, she actually tries to see how much it's worth. And she uses her little balance thing that we were talking about earlier, and she puts Mora on the side. And this is what she does for all of her cases too, to figure out the value of things. And she finds that no matter how much more she puts on the side, it doesn't overpower her vision. The vision is still more valuable, which is nice to know that like you can't go buy a vision and stuff. But she does instead take all of her legal notes from her little bag that she's carrying around, her little box bag, and puts that on the scale. And that's the only thing that evens out with the vision. So it's all of her work that she's put into it.
That's amazing. I love that.
I love that. And I'm so like, imagine being able to like calculate the value of any object, which apparently she can do except for the vision.
Yeah, works on everything except the vision.
God damn. It is priceless.
Al, it sounded like you were going to say something too about like what you hope to see from Yanfei. Did you want to add anything?
I just want a Phoenix Wright moment where Yanfei has to go on to be our trial lawyer in Fontaine. That's all I want. I want Yanfei to represent us because Fontaine decided that we broke some laws. That's all I want. I want a Phoenix Wright moment.
I like that. That would be fun. Anyone else? Anything they want to add?
I will just say again that I really would love to see her involved in some kind of legal attack on Snezhnaya.
Ooh, okay.
You know, being involved in like getting the Fatui out of Mondstadt's hair.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. Because like they got a lot of shit going on with them, which isn't good.
My biggest want for Yanfei isn't necessarily lore based as much as I really want her to have a new outfit.
You're not a fan,
You
right?
don't like the jester look?
I understand now when B got Diluc's new outfit and it was kind of like, well, I play with him all the time, so it's nice to see something different. Yanfei needs a new outfit.
But can she keep her boots with the fur?
Oh, of course.
Well, then, travelers, I think that's all the time we have for today. Please join us next week when we talk about my favorite location in Genshin Impact, Dragon Spine. I know everyone else hates it.
You're the only only one.
Please remember to give us a follow on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or Twitter, Tales of Teyvat, to let us know what you thought about today's episode or what you'd like to see from our future episodes. Otherwise, safe journeys, travelers. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye, nerds.